There's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, if it's alive.
One, two, three, set, go.
All right now on the Power Chord Hour, I'm joined by William and Bradley of the band Barely Blind. The band has returned to release a brand new EP called Imagine Troubles, which is out now on TDR Records. The first release from the band in a very long time, so let's discuss new music with Barely Blind. Bradley, William, how you guys doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Bradley?
Nice. So, like I just mentioned, first release from the band in a long time. So, I was wondering this for the new release. Is this something you guys had in the vaults, or is this something you guys got back together and recorded?
In the vault.
This is something that we recorded in 2014. We were all living in California at the time as a unit, and at the time we were kind of shopping it around. We weren't sure if we were going to make another full length or if we were going to do an EP, and we just kind of sat on it. And then ultimately the band decided to take a long break, and when we did, we never knew if it was going to become released. Fast forward to now, we all gave it a listen and decided that it still sounded good, and we wanted to get it out to everybody that might care.
Is that the capacity? The band's not back. You're just kind of releasing this?
Yeah,
exactly.
I think,
Sorry, go.
One, I just want to touch on something I just said, and then I'll let Brad take it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Something we all agree on is that we definitely all love these songs, and we share some pretty intense memories that go surrounded, but mostly we just all loved them and we're proud of them, and we wanted people to hear what we had left.
I mean, had you forgotten about? I mean, because that is quite a bit of time in between. Would you say 2014? I mean, had you remembered any of these songs, or there's some that you had just completely forgotten about?
Definitely not forgotten. We all sort of went on I went my own way, and the band continued off in LA for some time. And so we're all back in Texas now after all this time, and reconnected friendships, and we're all doing our own projects together. Me and Will have a project that we're working on together, and through reconnecting we wanted to showcase the music, because it was sort of an abrupt ending to the band back in the day. It's never really official or anything like that, so we thought that the fans that we had would love to listen to it. I've continued to listen to these songs ever since. Some of the proudest work that I've ever done. The person that we recorded with them, Harrison Wargo, under the moniker Bad Boxes, it's another project that he was involved in that it really felt like deserved to be heard, even just from him as a producer perspective. He's got a lot to offer bands of our same sound and caliper, so we wanted to release them.
It is a really well produced EP. Everything sounds really good on it. How long? What were those sessions? How long did it take to record this back in the day? Do you remember?
2 days.
Oh, geez, real fast, in and out.
Yeah. Well, the thing is it kind of goes along with what you were saying just now, is that I think we all probably remember them pretty well, because we actually labored over the songs and more than we ever had before. So we definitely all probably have a certain memory of them. But also, again, I can't stress this enough, we were also proud of the production, how it stood the test of time. Again, but at 8 years later, 7 years later, they actually sound probably better than they did then. So that was another reason we were all well, we should probably put this out.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, even going off that, that is also why I had to ask if this was new or not, because honestly, it really does just sound like it could be from right now. That sounds like you could have went in the studio today and recorded that in 2022. It really doesn't sound dated in any way.
Thank you. I'll give that mostly to Bradley's voice.
Well, that and the
sick drums.
The sick drums, yeah. No, the sonic escape altogether. It was like he said, it was a really quick recording process. We stayed in the studio in North Hollywood just pretty much 24 hours a day for a few days, and had Harrison come down to LA. And I mean, I left LA years before the rest of the guys did, and I brought those songs with me. And I mean, anybody that I ever let listen to, whether it was, you know, right then or years later, up to now, they were like, when did you do this? Did you just do this? So it was always something that not just to us, but to everyone that was around us sounded fresh. And, you know, for me, lyrically, I think that I was talking about things that I was wrestling with that I now have a bit more clarity on, yet all of it still rings true to who I am and where I want to go, or, you know, what I think about the world around us. And like I said, we all sort of reconnected as the band individually came back into Texas, and everyone has their own projects that they're working on now in various stages. And getting together, I think it was for Will's birthday last year, actually, it just sort of, I would say, naturally came to all of our minds a couple of weeks later, like, why the hell wouldn't we just release it? You know, our full length was 10 years old coming, so we decided, you know, right after that we would release it, just as a token, as little as a token to the people who were around us and supported us as a band then, but as also you know, a platform for all of our individual projects that we're all working
Yeah,
on.
definitely also to dust off a little bit of the dust and grease that we might have built up over the years during all the stuff we've all been through, not being able to play together and do shows. And Brad and I haven't played a show in quite some time, but it was a way to sort of get our foot back in the door, being involved in music again.
I like hearing how much like the EP and the songs meant to you too, because I feel like something like this, and I kind of asked is like sometimes, you know, bands will go away for a long time and they'll kind of release something from the vaults, but like many times they kind of forgotten about it, and it was kind of like something where, you know, maybe not an afterthought, but it's like, oh, we found them all these years later and now we're like going to put them out. I mean, it sounds like in a way you guys thought at some capacity, even when the band was done, these would probably make their way out at some point. Like it sounds like, again, like not forgotten, something you very much at some point probably would have saw coming out.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I think that for me personally, it really meant it. I really personally put a lot into them, and I believe that it was, apart from the full length, it was really us all finding our sound together, and really just a start for me finding my sound vocally. And like Will said, I haven't played shows in a long time, but I've carried that with me as inspiration to continue to make music in a personal way. And I would definitely consider it motivation to get back on the horse. It's just a couple songs, but it is the culmination emotionally of a hard fought move, and then a move away from a band that I had been in since I was 15, you know, so
Wow.
it was very important to me. So it never, you know, we have songs that are in the vault that, you know, upon getting back together, we would find demos and stuff that made us laugh. We're like, holy shit, we should have made this a song and blah, blah,
Or
blah.
thank
But
God we
these
didn't make that one happen.
yeah, exactly. But these really were like my pride and joy for, I mean, even after the band, after I was no longer a part of the band, it was something that, you know, it sort of meant
and they
more
got the
than
little
just
production
its,
touch on them.
yeah, it meant more than the sum of its, you know, parts. It meant a lot to me.
No, that's awesome. That's definitely awesome. I wanted to talk too. I mean, like you guys said, you know, the band's originally from Texas, but where in Texas did the band start?
Well, if Texas had a sort of a butthole, imagine. No,
East of
Just
Houston,
past the
right on the
butthole, dude.
Louisiana border.
Oh, okay. So
Port Arthur.
what was the local music scene like when Barely Blind started? Like, was there much of a scene? Were there places to play in, like bands to play with and stuff? Like, what did that look like in the early days?
This is something I would love to talk about.
Let's
But
get into it. Oh,
Let's get down. Well, the year was 2003. No, honestly, That's something that I hold fond to my heart and think about quite often is that Bradley and I, the band actually has gone through a few incarnations, but the original incarnation was with our best buddy Kanan. Um, Nonetheless, when we were 14 and 15, we couldn't drive. Our parents would drive us to the shows, but it was at the time like punk rock was apparently a big deal. You know what I mean? It was sort of a new wave of punk rock. We were the kids, but eventually the the local scene that we did develop and we kind of sort of were spearheaded through became very, very, I don't know, robust. There were bands coming up and going all the time, as you probably know. And there were bands everywhere, and this is from the time that like pop punk and screamo began to take place, and Warped Tour was a big deal. But like, there were just so many bands, and there was we were constantly defending titles in the battle of the bands, as you would know, my friend.
There was
Mini battle.
definitely we definitely came up early, and there were lots of older, like you said, punk bands.
Yeah,
And then through that, we sort of, with a couple of other groups in the area. Reed, in fact, was in the screamo band
Yeah.
that came up about the same time. So we sort of built a really big local scene there. I mean, there was Christian music all the way down to dirty, sludgy metal, and we would all play together. So the music scene in Southeast Texas, Beaumont, Port Arthur area was huge. And I mean, it's always had its heyday. I mean, Janis Joplin's from there, Pimp C and UGK are from Port Arthur. So there's always music coming through. And it, like he said, it really became like a B-list city for bigger touring acts.
Yeah.
Years after we had sort of really brought the music scene back with the help of many bands. And so, yeah,
it was sort of
We all-
it was unorthodox though. You would not have expected it where we were. There was really not a lot else going on. But yeah.
big oil town.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
At one point we had our high school let us throw a show, and I think like almost 1,000 kids paid to come see the
Oh my
show.
God.
It wasn't not just us, but a handful, maybe 5 bands, and this is in a town
Still.
where. Yeah, it was crazy,
That was
man. And I remember one time I saw my English teacher in the mosh pit, and I'm like, that's crazy.
Now he's the principal.
And there was a lot. I mean, there were kids everywhere. It was awesome, man. And we did it 2 years in a row.
That's
Same
so
journey.
Yeah, that's a
cool.
testament to the
Yeah.
scene for sure. Then we were definitely integral in that, but there were lots of I could ratchet off a bunch of names that no one would know about, but great musicians call that home still to this day.
I mean, you guys were both so, like you're just talking about being so young, starting Barely Blind. I mean, was this your like first band, or were you guys, I mean, even at that point,
First and only, homie.
really?
My baby.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've done some work with other bands and played drums, but my band has always been Barely Blind, and there's been really 2 serious versions of Barely Blind, and I'm definitely not going to go on about this. We can keep it here in the future, but there was an original. There were 3 of us, and then we morphed into the lineup that we're talking about today, which is Bradley, Steven, Reed, and I, and that became a more serious unit, and that's the one that we developed more of a following, I guess you'd say, around touring a lot. We toured together, recorded in Baltimore, Paul Levitt, moved to LA, blah blah blah, all that fun stuff.
For touring, like how long after, you're talking about what a great local music scene you had, like how far in, I also imagine just even being that age, gotta be able to be old enough to drive, but like when did touring start for the band? How long in did you guys start beginning to like play outside of Texas?
18.
I mean, in high school we were playing in Houston and Dallas and like the big markets in Texas, but my graduation, my high school graduation like party or vacation was a tour to LA.
Nice.
Play shows back and forth, and then from there, quickly. I mean, we all did our hand at college and stuff, but it really took a hold at about 19 or 20. We started touring every season up until when we moved to LA.
And when we met a gentleman by the name of Steve Sabazili, who plays in
Hey.
Punchline.
Yeah, I love Punchline.
Shout out
Yeah.
Steve. Shout out Punchline. And then we at the same time we met Mike Collins, who I believe put us in touch, and he was
Yeah.
running the label out of Chicago. And the two of those, with that combination, we recorded an EP and we put it out on TDR Records. And from that moment is when we really geared up and started touring a lot. And we spent probably half our year in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
You know, from the time. I'm just joking, not really.
Oh.
We were in Pittsburgh. We were in Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Chicago quite often.
Steve specifically though his entire band and Mike are the biggest supporters that we've had and really got us into the wider pop punk scene in our early 20s for sure.
Was there a place like in the band's touring days? Was there a city or even just part of the country? And I mean, maybe you just said it a second ago. Maybe that is where, but like where you got like the best reception, or you would say like that's where you had the best shows, either an area.
Hey, Cleveland represent.
Cleveland.
I love.
Yeah, Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
Chicago, Cleveland. Well, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Chicago, and La Crosse, Wisconsin, which never was all that great, but that whole run.
And I will say Florida has got some awesome small towns with really good scenes that had a lot of fun there.
Did you speaking of, I'm not terribly far from Cleveland. That's kind of where Cleveland, Pittsburgh regular shows a lot. Did you guys, were you like grog shops? You guys play grog shop and stuff?
Coventry. Always at the grog.
Nice.
John.
So kind of that Midwest area then, kind of up here in that Midwest slash.
Yeah.
PA's I know it's not Midwest, but it's also like you're close enough. You're right by by Cleveland. You're right by Ohio.
We also, in terms of Pittsburgh, we played. We never played Mr. Smalls, but we played the Moose Lodge. We played Lava Lounge. We played what's that club?
What was the upstairs one?
Yeah, what's the one that Steven and loved?
That's the one we played the most.
No, that's Moose Lodge, Brad.
Oh, it is? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, but it changed names a couple times. Or it may not be. I'm sure it's not the Moose Lodge.
What was it called?
Not Mr. Smalls, but anyway, there's another one that Punchline used to play. That was a larger venue that we played.
What was that place
we
played with
Laga?
August Burns Red? Laga?
Yes, we have. Yes.
Was that the one or no? That's not the one you were thinking.
No,
of.
it's not the one, man. I can't remember the name. I will remember the name of it.
There are a lot of, like, as you're naming them off, you remind me how many damn good venues are in Pittsburgh, actually. Some gone now, but, like, they had a lot of venues, like, not just one or two. There's a lot of really good venues up that way.
Well, this place, 15 minutes after you were done playing, morphed into an all-out nightclub. I mean, bottle service, it was not no joke.
I think I know where you're talking. Like, it's Staza nightclub? It's like something...
Dude, it is a pure nightclub. It's got a name like Vane or something. I don't know, something crazy that you never want to go
It's
to,
killing me because I've probably been there too, and I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about. But like even actually kind of going back venue wise, like you were talking about, like with the scene in your hometown and everything. Like, what were venues like? Was it a place? Because you were saying like some of that scene was being brought back as you guys started playing. Like, did that also call for kind of having unconventional places for venues, or was it mostly?
Brother. Can we cut? Are we allowed to say that?
Build them up.
Oh yeah, you're good. Swear I'll edit it.
We used to do the KC halls, the VFW halls, and we would build the shows ourselves. There was a guy who ran a skate park for a while. That was a really cool spot for a spell.
It was a teen nightclub that we used to get. Yeah. It would get buck wild in there, brother. I don't think they had AC, dude.
Oh my god. And down there, Jesus.
Hey, you know what I gotta say, dude? Shout out to all the sound guys that come in there with a bunch of stuff, about 316-year-olds, and always be one 42-year-old guy like smoking ciggies doing sound in the back, brother. Thank you.
You make it happen.
Seriously caring that my kick drum was mic'd up and all that, like seriously caring.
So everybody feels it.
Yeah, and my dad would be back there, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, we saw some stuff that should not be seen. All right. Hey, you know that Denny's thing? I'm sure every local band.
I know what you're talking about.
What's that? I'm pretty sure that started in our hometown. So that was from our scene.
See, I love asking that because I'll talk to people from like these like little pockets of scenes where you may not expect there to be one, but what you start figuring out is that the venues aren't always there. So and that's what intrigues me. Like you got to make, like not only are you making that scene, now you got to find like the places to play and stuff. Like
Brad,
props
what
to
do you think the first time we played Crockett Street, a real venue was? How many years?
I mean, it was years after we started playing. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember that we used to talk churches into letting us play.
Yes.
And then once we actually played, they would give us the official "you're fucking banned for life."
Yeah, we've been banned from churches.
We would bring
in,
300 or 400 16-year-old kids that would end up half naked through 15 minutes of our show. So it was very unconventional for a while. That nightclub that he was talking about used to be an old supermarket that someone converted into like a teen dance club, and we talked them into doing a band night. And then from there, they were like, we want to do a band night every weekend.
They put carpet on the freaking floor of a Dollar General and called it a nightclub. I'm not joking. That's a dead.
It was an old Market Basket.
Old Market Basket.
Straight up grocery store.
Is this like in a strip mall?
Yeah, in a strip mall. It used to be the grocery store that I went with my parents when I was 10 and 12, and it ended up being the place that I liked. I remember we had we used to put it at capacity, and the fucking fire marshals would come and shut it down until they got like legit insurance so they could do that, and got a legit capacity number so they could actually.
And then they'd be like, man, that was crazy tonight. $10 a heck, 300. Here's $100, son. Come back.
We were like, fuck yeah.
Oh my God.
No way.
We didn't realize until we were playing bars in the bigger cities around our small town that there was actually good money to be made at a door. We were just all, until we were 21, 22.
Yeah,
we knew that they were making money hand over fist.
Right. We just didn't know how to approach them because we couldn't drive yet, and we didn't know how to approach. I mean, we're waiting on our mom to pick up. We're like literally holding our cymbals in the back of a truck, like we don't know how to like tell an adult, hey, you owe me more money.
Yeah, no, I could see where that's hard. Very much so.
I still don't, honestly. I still can't tell an adult that. I don't know why.
I mean, again, like props to you, because like again, like to be able to make that happen that way, like even though there was a good scene, it definitely sounds like you had to put forth an effort to get that good scene. It wasn't just something you could like start a band. All right, we got all these places to play and stuff. You had to really make it happen still.
Yes.
We watched the art studio in Beaumont. We watched how they did it, and we just grassroots it. And there were lots of other bands that were willing to do the work with us, and so it was. And I
will say that something that definitely encouraged us from a young age is that all of the older bands. I mean, I swear sometimes we would play with bands that were 49, 50 and up. Just because that's all at the time before the kids started getting involved. So a lot of the bands were older guys, but they were always so supportive and cool to us. They never disrespect. I mean, for the most part, they never disrespected us, and they always encouraged us to keep jamming and stuff, And I think that helped us a lot in the beginning because it was intimidating as hell to like set your drums up next to a.
Yeah, I remember playing with the big punk band, the Put Downs, and I was like, they're not gonna like us at all. And we played with them at the art studio, and they're like, y'all are fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're cool.
No, yeah, I mean, you need that supportiveness too from the older crowd. I mean, same with like the sound guy you were talking about. Like, props to the sound guy coming in.
Dude, props to that guy. Yeah,
because you're right. 16-year-olds
he's like $40 bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's not paying rent with that show. That's not.
He ain't paying rent. Period.
Good point. So I guess we're kind of talking about that in like the early days and all that good stuff. Like for both of you, where does your love for music start, and what were both of your like first instruments? When did just music in general begin for you guys?
Well,
Bradley.
I was in school band. I played like school band instruments, and then when I got into middle school, as soon as I heard Blink-182, I was like, I need a guitar or bass. And that's where it started for me. So I've always been around music.
Nice. What now? You said guitar. Guitar was your first instrument, or no?
I
you said
actually
band.
played bass.
Oh, nice.
I played like school bands, so I was like saxophone and stuff like that. But as soon as I listened to pop punk, I was like, got as far away from the sax as I could and got a bass guitar.
Did you ever go back to it? Have you ever since tried playing a sax again?
Hell yes. I just learned Careless Whisper because my wife was the
really?
sax man for my last Halloween, my wife was Sexy Sax Man, and I pulled out my old saxophone and I learned how to play it.
Bro, are
That's
you
amazing.
fucking making this up, dog? Are you serious? This is cool.
Even if you're making it up, that's a
Got
great story for a podcast.
Yeah. You know,
that's-
we actually have been lying the whole time. There was no sound guy.
This whole interview's based on lies.
Yeah. I'm not even in the band, bro.
You got the wrong number.
Yeah.
You don't even know who we're talking about.
Yeah, Bill, Brad. That's my name, Brad. Will.
Yeah,
Will.
that's me, of course.
Fuck yeah, I'm Will, dude. Yeah, man, local scene.
How about for you? Yeah, where's music start with you?
My dad was into rock and roll, pretty hardcore, but you know, to skip all the bullshit. Like I honestly, it's much like Brad's. You know, I remember this gentleman by the name of Scott Holman in summer school, of course, told me he was going to the Warped Tour, that the bands were playing punk rock, and at that time, I'd only knew like what new metal was. You know, I didn't know what punk rock was, and then I heard Blink-182, and his fucking show was over, dude. Like I was already kind of playing drums, but when I heard Blink and all the bands that came along that train, I just got real serious about it and started practicing. I met Brad when I was 14, and I think we were at the same stage of our sort of obsession with it, and we just rolled with it.
That's
Yeah, we really learned how to be a band together, but a couple of years before is when most bands in our genre, they got Dude Rancher, Enemy of the State, and then they were off to the races.
Yeah, that is like one of the. I feel like pick one of those, and it's like, yeah, how many bands has like that influence? You know, like form.
I think back before that, and I'm like, I listened to James Taylor with my dad. I got a Cranberries tape once, and then
That really does just
Yeah.
change the game forever. That is like just a game
For
changer. It's hard to look back after that.
Yeah, I mean, I swear, you probably listen to for Kings of Leon. They're probably like, yeah, Blink-182 really fucking did it for me.
You need Blink.
If you're 34 and under, and over, into 40-something, it was definitely Blink. They don't matter what.
I remember the first time I listened to them. I was with my cousin, and he was in college. He was a junior in college, and he was flipping out about this band. And
Yeah, because it was
that's like
sick.
the first time I listened to them.
Nice.
So they were definitely they definitely spanned the genre, the different markets for sure.
And I'm with you about the age thing, where it's like if you tell me otherwise, like it was some other band, you're trying to like be
You're
cool
lying.
and throw something in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're lying, dude. You're lying. You loved those
Mitchell Milk
records.
Hotel really got
Yeah.
me into
Yeah,
it.
yeah. If you say that, like, I'm just like, you're lying, dude. Come on.
I know that, but people are like, it was the Beatles, it was Pinch. I'm like, brother, you're 30 years old, dog. You know freaking Beatles, homie.
Yeah,
Though it's incredible to finally discover those old bands. Like that's what the true test of the timeless group is. You could be 30 in 2022 and you first discover Pink Floyd for your first time, and it's the most transcendental experience. Definitely for us, it was Blink for sure.
See, but I kind of like that because I've talked about this with people, kind of where I go, I think you're better off because Blink still does have a window. I also get if you're 45 and you discover Blink that it might not like be the earth-shattering thing for you. So it's almost like it's good to discover that band earlier on and it sticks with you, and then go find Pink Floyd and all that other stuff. Like find that later.
That's what comes.
It'll
Just
never
find the love of.
It's not going away. You can go listen to that later. You can get into that like in your 30s and stuff. But it's like I feel like the Blink connection, you need that in that time of your life. And that's why like that certain age group, it's like if you're in that age range, that's your album because you were a certain age at that time and just the impact it has on you.
Well,
they definitely realized the demographic and they hit it hard, and it was right. It was exactly what I needed. It definitely kept me on the straight and narrow and like became comfortable with myself and not scared to be, who I wanted to be, and also kept me out of trouble because I found dudes that wanted to play music.
Do you feel like that makes it?
And, there's a lot of trouble to get into in a small town in Texas.
Do you also feel like, do you think listening to Blink when you guys, like early on, and then you kind of go into doing Barely Blind and stuff, in a way, do you also feel like that, like, it's more obtainable, you know what I mean? Like if you're listening to a lot of like prog rock or something and you're like 14 or 15.
Dude, that was the whole
right? What
That
I'm
was
getting
the
at?
whole lure of it all, is that although it was not as simple as it seemed and the guys were professionals, there was something about it that was made just about anybody feel like it was accessible now. I don't know how or why it did that, but it did that to me on not only drums but
Because
guitar as well.
we were learning. I remember learning how to play guitar and like learning all these different like Green Day, like learning to like play guitar and stuff, and then hearing and listening to What's My Age Again, and then figuring out what the guitar did, and figuring out a power chord. I was like, I can do this. I can do this. And yeah, from then you obviously see that they're incredible songwriters and they have a sensibility with melody and stuff. And that stuff you develop over time. But it's true that if you have something to say and a voice to say it, that's the only barrier to entry, really. I mean, there's many ways to play guitar and to play other instruments that don't, you don't have to be Dana Carey to play the drums and for people to resonate with it.
Yeah, I do. I think that's important. I mean, you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't, obviously millions of bands have sounded like Blink and they are not Blink. So, I mean, there is still the talent factor of it, but I do think one of the greatest assets of them is that attainability where you can look at that and go, I can figure out all the small things. Maybe I can't go figure out this song with a 10-minute guitar solo, but I can figure out all the small things in an afternoon or something. I can kind of learn from there. But
I
remember learning the What's My Age Again, the little riff, and then seeing them at the Pop Disaster Tour at the Woodlands, and Tom was drunk as hell and he had to start it over. I was like, it's me, dog. It's fucking my boy. Like, this is easy.
It's like Mark Hoppus. He used to have to sit down to play Carousel in old live videos. For a long time, he had to sit down to play it.
I'm like, dang, homie. They even made a poster out of that, too.
Outside of music, do either of you have any, like, would you say like another kind of creative outlet, or is all your like creative outlet music? Like, is all your creativity go into music?
Oh no, Will's a prolific artist on canvas. Awesome art.
Really?
I have at least 2 originals hanging up in my house.
Wow,
yeah,
nice.
Brad's an artist as well too, but he doesn't paint as often as I do.
Was that?
To me, it's all the same. I don't know. That's just how I feel. Even just talking and hanging out, or like painting and trying to just do whatever. I just like to create at all times as much as I can.
You think that just
being modest?
You think it just?
I did the artwork for the EP, by the way. I did that.
Oh, really? That's nice artwork too. Did you do that?
Hey, he's like, anyway, next question.
Did you do it recently, or is that like an old thing?
No, I did it recently. Yeah, I worked on here. I would go to Kinko's and scan a bunch of shit, and they'd think I'm crazy and stuff. It's fun, really awesome.
Is that something you've been, and for both of you, I mean, is that something you've been doing since you were like younger? Did that come later after music? You just kind of picked it up later on.
I definitely
always liked art class.
Yeah.
His mother, art teacher, artist by trade, and I don't know when you started doing it, but ever since I can remember, you were artistic in more ways than just the drums.
I don't really know either, but I just always enjoyed it too, a lot.
See, I was going to ask you.
I would say that I would just say that in LA is when Will started really painting more, way more. I mean, you have a huge back catalog of stuff from when you lived out there. I mean, you were
I think I would just be so broken and lonely and scared out of my fucking mind. So I'm like, I'll probably just paint something. I'll probably be all right. Like, I knew I could do that and it'd feel better. You know what I'm saying?
It's a nice outlet.
Very
I
good.
mean, positive outlet for something like that.
Thank you. You think it's positive, but that shit will turn its back on you too.
Oh no, it can turn on you.
Do you paint or do you?
No. Oh God, I can't. I can draw a stick figure. It's about as far as I can get artistically. So this is all very interesting. I like hearing about this kind of stuff because I know nothing about it.
I understand. I'm the same way with photography. I'm like, I have no idea how to take. Brad can take great pictures, by the way, and his dad took photos of us for an album one time. It was awesome, but I have no idea how. If people are like, "Will you take a picture of me?" I'm like, "Sure." And they're like, "This picture sucks." I'm like, "I don't know. I just don't know." Okay.
Heavily.
Well, all of it takes a bit of technique and a bit of history and practice. But when it comes to putting something on a canvas, you have so many other avenues. You know, when you're trying to take a picture, when you're trying to make some songs, you have confined limitations that you're working in.
That's a great point, because if you're taking a picture, you're going to have some kind of subject in front of you, or whatever your surroundings are. It could just be your surroundings, but you do have that. Whereas doing a painting,
you have that frame that you have to stay in.
Yeah, you have that, just whatever, I guess, is in your head, basically. Like, you don't have something in front of you. Maybe sometimes you do, but depending what you do, you don't always have something in front of you to paint. You're just going off your mind and stuff. Whereas, with a photograph, still an art form. But you may have whatever that thing is in front of you. Whether
the subject.
You have the subject. So
I see.
I don't know.
I never thought of it
that
sense.
Way. I feel with going back to what he said a second ago. Bradley, I think you said it, but like just with that, it is interesting, the difference. And I've never thought of that, because again, I can't paint to save my life. But the difference between that and photography, and really having, I think, to depend more on your own mind when painting.
I see. Well, something I will say is that it's a lot, and I learned this over COVID, is that it's a great deal of fun painting and making things on your own, but collaborating is always, especially on music, is the best. Nothing else like it, because an instrument, if you think about what an instrument really is, it's an instrument, and you both have one, and so you get to do it together. And to me, that's what makes it so much fun.
Yeah, because is there a way? I don't know. Is there a way to collaborate when it comes to like art? Is there a way to collaborate?
I think that couples sometimes rub paint on each other and do it all over the canvas, and then that's how you do that. Yeah,
that's collaborating in art. Okay,
that's collaborating on paint canvas. Yeah, other than that, not possible. Nope, never been done.
I think it's definitely harder with painting, because you're putting your essence into some paint and a canvas, and adding someone else's perspective could like totally distort what you were going after. But they have tattoo artists that sit and do a whole back piece as a duo, so it's possible. It just depends.
You look at the back, you're like, well, the left side looks good. Who did the left? The right side?
One on the left knew what they were doing.
This is my apprentice, dude.
I think that all comes down to compatibility, though, too, especially with music. You can jam with anybody, but then when you're creating, it is a different thing. You have to be on the same wavelength for sure.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, and then we can move on from art. But like you were just saying, with kind of like the difference between a band and doing art. Also, you can't hide behind, like, there's not four guys up there with you. Like that's you. You kind of represent whatever that art is. That's all you. There's not like three other guys you can kind of like lean on or go, it was this. It's like, no, that was all you.
So Will actually, for the house that me and my wife bought, he made this big 5x7 piece, and it took him. He'll admittedly tell you he redid it 3 times on the canvas. The canvas ended up black because he painted over it so many times. But that's him putting all of his creative force onto a page. There's nothing but his texture with the paintbrush to hide the texture underneath it. With music, when it comes to, you build something with your buddies like we did, and then you figure out a way to work together and to strengthen, your drummer's weaknesses or your singer's weaknesses. And there's ways that you can hide inconsistencies. But when you're just an artist or an aspiring artist with some oil paints and a fucking canvas, it to me is definitely one of the most archaic art forms for sure, in that it's just as bare as it can be.
That's really interesting. Again, just from not knowing shit about any of that, it's all really things I've never thought of before. So that's really that's really neat with just art in general. I can appreciate that. I may not be able to do it, but it makes me kind of appreciate it.
And I will say, with Will's the painting, that the big one that I was talking about, I can't hear colors or anything like that like some savants can, but I can definitely tell the type of, like, when I look at the paintings that he does, they are synonymous with the type of riffs that he writes and the type of sounds that he wants to make. He's not pulling from two different pots. He's learned how to emote using different pathways. It's all the same creation, just coming in different forms for sure.
See,
We
and
talked about that ad nauseum. Well,
we have, but that's interesting because, like really, I was going to ask earlier when asking about the creative outlet thing, like, including for you, Will, like, does it come from different places? And I mean, you've already kind of said it doesn't, which is interesting because some people are
Nah.
like, yeah, I feel like it comes from this and that, where you're like, no, all from your creativity is
Yeah.
like just a big old pot of creativity to pull
Yeah.
from.
For me, that's how it's always been. I've always enjoyed it. Mostly music at the top, but very near. I like to. It's not just painting. I just like to create stuff. You know what I mean? I like being in a
do some
band
wild
though,
shit
so
with
because
with the scanners.
yeah, I like working with scanners. I know it's we won't get into all like the details of that. You know what I'm saying? But I like. I just like to create stuff. I like to collaborate the most though. That's why music always works out the best. Because, like I said, you don't want two dudes. Like it's just not as beautiful on the canvas if you're both rolling around on it.
Is there anything you've ever wanted, just creatively, you've wanted to try and never have? Like, it could be another instrument, it could be writing, it could be like whatever. But is there something you've never pursued but would still like to?
Play guitar live. That'd be nice.
How about
Yeah, would be the only thing that I'm probably too scared to ever do that, but something I would like to do one day. I mean, I don't know, but maybe I will. But behind the drums, I just feel at home and feel completely safe, and I know exactly how to fucking, if I screw something up, I know exactly what to do, and it's less than a moment to get back on track with the guitar. I just feel like I'm literally naked on stage. Like I don't know how you could possibly. I just don't know how you could do it. Or God forbid, I'll never sing it. I don't have any desire to, but I mean anything where I'm exposed with a melodic instrument, I would like to do it live. But yeah,
besides that,
short
that's about
answer.
it? How about you, Bradley? I mean, is there anything you like creatively you've never tried, or maybe even just kind of flirted with a little that you'd like to actually like jump in and like do?
Well, I mean, I would say writing and singing my own songs. Like, I mean, we had a long career as a band together, but like I was saying earlier at the top, I really was just starting to find my voice, and I wouldn't call it unfinished business, but unexplored territory has yet to be charted for me. Like, we're all doing our own things now, but me and Will have reconnected, and music is still a life force for me. I've always, dabbled in creative things, but I think the one that I have most designs on is, sharing a perspective and a voice.
Nice. Well, as we close this up, I will ask you. I'll put you on the spot here, and people either have answers for this, or they really got to think. But I still like asking it. So, I mean, is there anything coming up as we're speaking of new music with Barely Blind? Is there anything you guys are anticipating to come out the rest of 2022? Anything you're like looking forward to coming out later this year?
I'll say that Brad and I have been hard at work on something, and we're about to take it into the next phase. And I don't know if it will be in this calendar year, but within a year's time, it will be something that will be out, and that's something that I look forward to the most. Is what Brad just spoke on, is getting to support his voice and hit complete creative freedom on his end, and me
Also,
just support that.
Reed's
That's
not
for me.
here, but he's got a group that he's with that will be releasing lots of music and touring in this calendar year and next. Steven as well. I know that he's been working on music. So we're all very much in the space of wanting to create and release. I think that part like with other music, seeing some of these bands that I grew up with and loved, like Bright Eyes, for instance, is on tour, and Cursive just hit a huge tour for one of their old records. Seeing the resurgence after COVID, and seeing all these bands that I grew up on and continue to listen to, I love to see it. So
Yeah.
happy that people are out there now. The Foo Fighters. Sad things have happened, but they were hitting it so hard, and that's another big inspiration that me and Will have had. throughout our musical careers. To see them, still playing to 20, 40,000 people is all the inspiration in the world.
No, very, very true with that. Including, yeah, I mean, for going that long, you definitely have to have admiration for that, to stick it out as long as they have and all of that. It's also cool too. I mean, like, there's all these things obviously to look forward to. You guys, like, even just outside of Barely Blind. I mean, you all very much, like you just said, are still very, very active. So you check out Barely Blind, but you still got like new shit to check out too. Lots of stuff to check out.
Thank you. Yes.
So, I mean, really now, and we can, I was going to ask too, like, where can people find the new EP? Where can they find you online? But also, like, your new bands, like, all that good stuff. You want to, if like, your projects, I don't know if you guys have, like, socials and stuff yet for your, for, like, the stuff you're working on and all that, but where can people
Not for us, but we'll plug Reed, UFO, on all the major socials. I can't remember Steven's...
I don't know Steven's handle, but Reed's handle is UFO.
Ash and
UFO.
Iris, I believe, is what it is for Steven. And yeah, UFO Band for Reed. We don't have socials yet, but we direct people to the EP that we put out. And
something I would like to say before we go is that the EP is something that we're very proud of, is that the EP is available on vinyl. You can get it at TDRRecords.com, or if you go to the Barely Blind socials, you'll find it there. We're very proud of it. It's a limited pressing, and I did the artwork for it, and obviously all the guys are involved too. And we're just really proud of it. And so if you want to support it, pick up a vinyl or, give it a stream on Spotify.
Very nice. Yeah, definitely check it out. I mean, we'll at least play a few, which, I mean, it's like 4 songs, so you'll hear like half the EP right now. But right now we'll kick it off with the opener. So right now here is Better Together off the EP Imagine Troubles right here on the Power Chord Hour.